Welcome to the Wellness Founders Podcast, where we explore the business of wellness and the people creating the future of well-being. Super pumped for my first guest, Mr. Rob Harrison. Dude, I'm so appreciative of you coming on here and sharing some of your wisdom. You founded the PDC Fitness Group in Playa del Carmen. If you can't tell, I'm wearing all my merch for this episode, so I had to give you some props by wearing that. I lived in Playa del Carmen for 4 years, and I know you guys have been doing stuff there for a few years. It wasn't there the entire time I was there. I really wish it was, but it's been incredible to watch you build this community, and it's so much more than a community. I think it's really a movement, and it's a cultural shift that's happening not only in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, but I think it sounds like it's going to be really shaping Mexico in general, which is a lot of what we're trying to do here in Colombia. And you came from a background in the military. You're a high ticket sales coach, and then you've got this whole like wellness side to you that's building this big thing in Playa. I'd love to just understand, man, like how did this journey into the PDC Fitness Club and all the things you're doing in Playa del Carmen around wellness, like how did that even start?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. First of all, honestly, like from meeting you in the past, it's been great, and when you came over to one of our events as well, and the Run Club as well at the same time, it's been great, man, and it was great to catch up, and it's great to
Absolutely.
get on here as well and do this today. Yeah, wow, how it started. Yeah, it started from when I moved out here. Literally, like it was something that happened that I didn't even realize was happening, and it was more through what my needs were and what I wanted to do is in a selfish way, if you want to look at it that way, more compared to like what it is today, which is more designed around the people and the community. And yeah, like you said, I had a military background, and I was actually still in the military when I moved out here. I finished my career in July 15th, 2019, which is the day I did my final job in the military was actually to compete in an Ironman
Mm.
event. And so I did that. That was the very last day I was in uniform. And then I had some paid time off until I think it was like end of September. And I moved out here literally 3 or 4 weeks after that Ironman event. And I came out here in August 2019. And yeah, I was still very much into my training, into everything else I was doing. Obviously, Cozumel Island, right near here, is home of the Mexican Ironman. So I came out with my
Mm.
bike and came out with all my stuff. I'm like, I'm going to continue my Ironman journey, and I want to come and do it here in Mexico. And being here in Mexico, it made me realize very, very quickly, in Playa del Carmen, of all places, made me realize very, very quickly that this is a place for partying more than it was a place of actually getting in and doing lots of training and being able to kind of have the health and wellness aspect to it. And that was difficult for me. I'm the person that would finish my evening with like a 6 p.m. dinner, and then like sort of wind down and be in bed by 10 p.m. Well, when I moved here, and obviously I got married to a Mexican out here as well, I had to adapt to those different changes, and that was the one thing I noticed the most. When we go for dinner, it's not a 6 p.m. dinner, it's an 8 or 9 p.m. dinner, which finishes around midnight.
The
Then you
worst.
come back,
I hate that.
and man, it's a killer. It was. And I was always the first guy to leave. I was always the boring one that was like, guys, I'm off. I'm up at 5. I'm going for a run. And they're like, no, stay for a little bit longer. Stay for a drink. And I'm like, well, I'll stay if you guys get up at 5 a.m. and come running with me in the morning. And it was like, oh, no, we
Oh,
won't
I
do
love
that. I was
that.
like, well, here's the same situation. We're in the exact same spot here that you guys aren't doing what I want to do, and I can't do what you want to do. And
Mm.
I was very much the black sheep in the crowd, and I was stood out. Obviously, I'm the English guy, the only English guy in the sort of Mexican side of things as well. And for me, it was more to do with I want to be able to perform the best I can possibly perform, because now I'm in a country which doesn't have the variables that the UK does, the bad weather, the humidity. There's humidity out here, but there's no real consistency in the weather in the UK, which is a massive problem with my training. I was getting seasonal depression. I was having some issues in the UK when I was training, especially with Ironman training and triathlon training. It's an outdoor sport which you can't do for 6, 7 months of the year because of the conditions. So when I come out here, it was my best excuse to stay consistent. It can be the middle of January
Mm.
or the middle of the July. the weather stays the same. And I was like, well, this is the best opportunity I can possibly have to improve my training, improve everything else I'm doing, and be
I
consistent.
mean, it does get like unbearably hot in the middle of summer.
Well, we're
It's
in the
hot.
middle of
It's
summer
hotter.
now. I think this is the first time in 6 years of living in Mexico that I can probably say that I'm actually getting used to these conditions, because I'm actually enjoying this summer.
If
This
if
is
you
the
could fight
first year.
through it, then that's that. I mean, your conditioning probably gets a lot better, right?
Yeah, I think the consistency of the training this heat, yeah, 20K runs now is pretty normal, and like in this humidity, which I think when I first moved out here, it would have been very, very difficult. Um, but the big thing was how this all came about. Like you said, it was about adjusting and finding the things that I really wanted. And I really wanted to wake up crazy early in the morning, train hard, start my day with momentum, start my day with what I really felt like was going to be the thing that would help me to success. And that was when I found myself on my own doing that. Okay. And it was 2019. Obviously now we're in 2025. And PDC Fitness Club hasn't been around for that long. Obviously I did a lot of this on my own. I was training on my own. I was running the track. Then when everything closed down for COVID, I was in a position where I needed to still have my little track. And luckily I measured out the whole block around my building, which was exactly 400 meters. And I was like, great, I've got my running track. That was where I hit every single day. I trained on
Mm.
my own. Then a couple of my neighbors started getting involved because in COVID, everybody moved away from Playa del Carmen. All of my neighbors were stuck in this building as well. So everyone was like, well, we've got nothing to do. And I was like, well, I'm training every day if anyone wants to join me. And that is actually the very, very, very start where the kind of spring before the river starts. That was where like people started training with me. Unfortunately, it did die away. That did stop because of because at the end of COVID, I started building a company, um, a sales company, because of obviously taking everything online. It was a lot better to sell online than it was sell in person. And that was when that kind of took over a lot of my time, and that side of things with helping people train kind of stopped for a number of years, and I was just training on my own and just doing it in my own time. So really, it did start from the day I came out here, looking for my people, looking for the kind of the people that would wake up early in the morning, and it was few and far between. It really was. I
Mm.
was on my own for a very long time.
What building were you in? Trying to think of how close we were.
Margaritas, yeah. So mine, I'm in pretty center, so it's like 24 Avenue.
No, when you were doing the 400 meters around the building. What building was that?
That's Margaritas, yeah, the
Oh,
one.
okay, the Margaritas. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. In between, like, if anyone knows it, it's like where Shushu Cafe is. There's literally it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
square. I think
It's a
there's
great
kind of like
area.
two buildings, yeah, back to back, and it's exactly a square. And I'd just running around that, and I timed it on my watch and looked on my watch, and exactly 400 meters. It was amazing.
Okay, so you had a few of these people that were in your building. They'd come with you, um, and I think there's interesting parts about this for the audience. One is those that want to build community and have people around them that are doing some of the same things as you're doing. You can either find that or you can create it yourself. And I'm always really inspired when people create it themselves and then have people, come to that. But it's not always as easy as it seems, and it doesn't always take the same path. It's not linear. So you had these few people that were joining you during COVID for these runs. It dies out, and then when does it pick back up again and really turn into what it is today?
Yeah. So COVID finishes, built the business up, and then this is now like I'm very much the 5 a.m. club guy. I read a lot of books, and one of the biggest books that stood out to me was also Miracle Morning. So it makes sense for me to be up at the crack of dawn, start my day with workout, and so it was never going to change. I wasn't going to adapt and say, okay, I'll just train in the evenings. It was never going to be like that. I I feel as though that the day needs to be started with momentum. It starts with that initial success. And I love the fact that you can train before most people are even awake. And so there's not going to be a distraction. There's not going to be any problems. And so I was like, well, that's never going to change. That's my yes or yes. That is always going to be something that's a non-negotiable in my life that's going to happen. So do I either continue doing this on my own, or do I find people that would want to do this as well? And I was generally finding I was having a struggle. I was training on my own for a lot, and I'm come from the military. I come from one of the biggest families in the world. Okay,
Mm.
I'm surrounded by people. I live, train, eat, sleep, everything with the same people for months and months on time. So yeah, and I just left the military, and I was in this position where within a year of me of me coming over here to Mexico. And so, yeah, I did still want to find people that I wanted to hang out with. I didn't want to be a loner. And the very first thing I did was I joined classes at the local CrossFit place. So it's Fibonacci's a CrossFit studio here. And there was a couple of people there that went at 6 a.m. And I was like, great, there's the 6 a.m. people. Let's go see them. And it was like 3 or 4 people that would turn up. And it was just like this thing. I was like, okay. Fast forward 6 months, CrossFit wasn't really the best thing for me. It wasn't really the workouts I wanted to do. I love functional training. Obviously, that's what I built everything around. But it wasn't really with the Olympic lifting and everything like that. So I came away with it, and I just mentioned to 1 or 2 people in that CrossFit studio. I was like, look, guys, I'm going to go do my own training at 6 o'clock. I'm going to go up to the stadium. I'm going to do something there. I'm going to do like a big hit session, start my day off, hit the track, a few laps on the track, and then just see how it goes. And that was when I had a couple of the guys from there say, "Oh, Rob, I'll join you. Yeah, we'll come and do that." So I was like, okay, great. I got my little team, and there was 3 of us that trained on our own for about a year and a half. And that
Damn.
was
Okay,
how
that's from what year to what year?
So yeah, that was probably from when COVID finished, 22 to then like end of 22, I suppose, all the way through to sort of early 2024. So yeah, so like 2 years.
It's so interesting because the run club that we do started with 4 people, I think, the first time, and then and I'd love for you to give perspective on like where the numbers are now before we go back to the middle of the story. So we went from 4 to close to 200 every week. So it was, crazy because ours started around in 2024 as well. But what do your numbers look like now? So let's touch on just that for just a moment, and then let's go back to
Yeah.
the story and how it evolved.
So yeah, right now I have a WhatsApp group that only people that have been to the workouts and the run club are allowed to become a member of. Okay. And I think it's just under 900 members in there,
Yeah.
in Playa del Carmen. And
And
so
I'm
we've,
I'm in that group, and I still get all the texts. It's on archive, but and
it is,
silent. But I just look through it every once in a while just to see what you guys are doing. So
that's it,
it's
man.
cool.
That's it. And we've had to adapt. Obviously, as you know, with WhatsApp groups, it gets a bit messy. There's when you got a lot of people in there. You get a lot of salespeople in there wanting to sell their own stuff, so you got to get pretty strict on what people are posting in there as well, and start setting up the rules. But yeah, having a WhatsApp group, having a chat, I think that's helped us grow also with the sort of side of things that allowing people to connect easier as well. I really do think that's easier rather than just having everything on Instagram. I'm seeing it a lot now with a lot of the run clubs and the fitness clubs have literally everything on Instagram, and everything's just
That's
sales.
us. That's us. And
It's
I see both sides of it. But yeah, it's maybe not right or wrong, but there's like definitely more admin work you got to do on WhatsApp, and there's more obviously notifications, less control, unless it's a purely announcement group.
mhm.
Um, but okay, so you get 900 in the group, and then how many people are coming? So one thing I thought that was interesting about your model that I really loved is like there's workouts every day of the week, and there's pretty much like stuff happening almost every day of the week, at least 5 days a week minimum, and then sometimes you guys have events on Saturdays. That's crazy, and it's awesome to see. How many people come to each of those events, and tell us about the structure? Like, how'd you decide on the structure of those?
I'll go through the structure first. So the structure of the PDC Fitness Club, that we do with how we're going to put everything in each week is all about general preparedness. So I actually design this around my training schedule and the way that I do my training. So every single training session that I host, a lot of people might think that's a little bit different to what they do. I actually make sure I do every single part of the exercise. Okay, I'm not there to motivate. I'm not there to be a personal trainer who walks around telling everyone what to do. I can do that whilst training. I can do that whilst doing the exercises. I can do that whilst running. I want to be there and be fully submersed in the exercise, in what we're doing. So I want to be able to design it in what I've been training and how I've been training for the last 20 years. And general preparedness for me is the way to train. I want to be able to know that if someone says to me, "Hey Rob, let's go out for a 15K run," which sounds like some people are like, "Whoa, yeah, hang on." I'll be like, "Yeah, okay, let's go. When do you want to go?" Like tomorrow. Okay, let's do it. Or there's somebody's like, "Oh, we're going to go do an obstacle race," or another thing is like we're going to go
Or
to
Running Man Festival next month.
Running Man Festival, exactly. If Running Man Festival run 50K, okay, cool, I'm in. I'm doing it. And so it's like, how can you know that? And it's giving yourself confidence in training in many different aspects that allow you to build it up into one thing, which I call general preparedness. And that is, we start our week on a Monday with yoga, okay, which sounds a bit like it's more of a rest day. Yoga's our start of the week, okay. I normally use Mondays as my rest day every single week. And then on the Tuesday is a high intensity interval session with me. And we hit the track and we have 5 exercises, 5 rounds. Each exercise is like a 50 seconds long, 10 seconds rest. So it's basically 5 lots of 5 with a lap of the track around after every single exercise, after every single round. With that, you've then got this real high boost. Obviously, you got the heat, the humidity, you're outside. And to do that, it's just 5 or realistically 6.5 minutes of your time, and then we have a couple of minutes rest, and we do that 5 times through. Okay, and that takes us through. It's literally an hour between 6 and 7 by the time we get there, get set up, get warmed up, and take the picture at the end, which you need to do, and everything there. Okay, that's 1 hour. Then on the Wednesday, we got Run Club. Okay, the running side of things for me was always going to happen. I love running. It's something that I've always done for many, many years. So I was always going to include running. And the Run Club came about accidentally compared to what the PDC Fitness Club came about with, because of the way that a couple of people were like, Rob, what do you do tomorrow? I'm like, I'm going running. Oh, can I come with you? And then it was like, okay. And then there was one of the girls that actually trains with us. She was like, well, I meet on Fifth Avenue and CTM every Wednesday. I do it like 7 a.m. It's like, cool, we'll all come along. And that was then how that side of things came about. Then on the Thursday, we do the sunrise workout at the beach. We're living in Playa. We need to use the beach. I used to do it first of all. Everything was at the track, absolutely everything. And then I was like, hang on a minute. We're living at the beach. We've got a beach area. We've got a beautiful sunrise. Let's use it. So we do the sunrise workout at the beach. It's another hit session. Obviously, with the beach workout, it's a little bit harder. So we do a few less.
It's a great one though. That one's like so
That's
much fun for being
That
there.
is definitely our biggest one. It gets most people there. And then we've got, from that, we do the beach workout. And then we've got the Friday. We've got one of our other coaches who does an abs and core session for everyone as well. And then there's a few of us as well to do sprints at the track, just in case we want to add a few little running elements to it as well. And then from that, the Saturdays are our big sort of super stadium session that we call it. And we include pretty much everything that we've gathered over the week of bringing everything together. And we do a lot of stair climbs, there's a lot of like bigger, more muscle movements, a bit more conditioning in that session. It isn't running around the track, it's up and down the stairs. And then from that, we do ice baths as well. And we have the ice baths after. We do the ice baths at Running Club now as well on a Wednesday. So we've got that element of recovery at the same time, which helps a lot. And so with having that through the week, and I'm showing people that that's my training week. Like I'm a 6-day-a-week training week, or sometimes 7 days a week, depending on what's going on. But you can do it if you put everything in the right way and you can structure it correctly.
Yeah. Well, so what I love about there's a lot of things I love about it, but one of the things I love most about it is that you took kind of a self-service approach where it's like, I think the most sustainable communities like this are the ones where the founders and the people that are running it are doing it because this is what they would be doing. Like, and that's kind of how I've formed my whole life, my social life, as well as the wellness components of my life. It's all around like, what does Jordan actually want to do? And then I almost use like the group psychology of it for accountability that I do it. And I'm curious how that fits in. I have a few more questions. I'm writing a bunch of notes, but I'm curious about the psychology of the group workouts versus solo. Because when you decided intentionally, like these are the things that I'm going to do myself, but I want a group. Do you think that from being in the military background, or like how did you view it at that time, and did you know it would be where it's at now with how big the groups have gotten?
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. My military background definitely helps the way that this has come about. Through the military, there's only one thing you need to do in the military. You turn up the right place, right time, right uniform. You do that, your life's fine. Okay, everything else will go into place because there's always someone higher than you looking after you. So as long as you're in the right place, right time, right uniform. So as long as I have that emphasis on our workouts, like we don't do it like the Playense way where someone might turn up 15 minutes late, 20 minutes late. I start it prompt at 6 a.m. no matter what, every single time. No, there's no reason why it would not start a minute later or a minute before. Okay, it's exactly at 6 o'clock every single morning. And from that, people know to be punctual. People know to turn up. Okay, the social accountability part of it is, it's not just them knowing they're waking up in the morning. It's not just them knowing that, oh, if I turn this alarm off, nobody else knows. I put the night before every single session we do, I put a poll inside of WhatsApp, and I put a message and I said, this is your opportunity to commit yourself today for what you're going to do in the morning and how you're going to set the day tomorrow. Because what you do now dictates what you do first thing in the morning. If you commit yourself right now to this workout and this session, you're going to be there in the morning. You're going to turn up, not just for yourself, for the other people in there. And then I always do something else. Like if we get more than 30 people, I'll add this to the workout. If we get more than 50, I'll do something else. And this is why we're getting 50, 60, 70, even 80 people turn up at each one of our workouts at 6 o'clock in the morning. Playa del Carmen has 300,000 people in it. And the one thing I say at most of the sessions I'm at, I'm like, guys, you are a 0.01%. Because 50, 60 people is 0.01% of 300,000. That's what you are. They're the sort of people, and they get a new status. That status in their head, there isn't, oh, I'm just waking up early and turning up and Rob's going to kick my ass. This is about, I'm turning up because I'm an elite. I'm different. I'm actually one of those people that's actually doing something that most people aren't at a time when most people are asleep. And that's what they love.
Yeah. I think there's so many little nuanced details of all this stuff that actually create an engaged community of people that are going to show up, that are going to be accountable to themselves, that are going to do the work. And where I think like a lot of this is going macro level is that brands, wellness brands, companies selling apparel, that like athletic apparel, companies selling supplements, things like that. Like this should be a real focus for these companies, is to either involve themselves with engaged communities like this, or even hire someone to create the stuff that like you're creating, right? Because what ends up happening is it becomes such a ripe audience for a lot of different things. And you've got their attention, you've got their commitment, you've got going up, and there's just so many different places it can go. One of the more interesting ones, so there's kind of like the sponsorships, there's the bigger brands that maybe want to be involved, there's obviously monetization through merge or other things like that. What I'm curious about first to explore is like the internal partnerships that now make this work. One being Reconnect, because I think you guys have a partnership with them that you've developed, which they do the ice baths, right? You've got you've got a governmental partnership now that's been in the works. You've got Nomad Abs, which kind of seems like it integrated with you guys. Tell me about how you integrated with some of these other communities slash brands slash like how did this all come about with the collaboration in between all you guys to create what's the current structure?
Yeah, I kind of saw that very early, and it was more to do with like, okay, how can we be seen by more eyes? But that it's not just for me to monetize anything, because that the monetization part never even came in into effect at that time. It was like, how do we get more eyes on how to do what I think is the best way to start the day? And so it was like, okay, who else can we speak to? Who else is going to be in this community, or who can be in this community that has the right sort of status and the right state of mind. Okay. And I was like, okay, first of all, there's the other things I'm into. That's the easiest one. Okay. It's a low hanging fruit. I'm into ice baths. I'm into breath work. I speak to those guys. I see them all the time. It makes sense to me to connect with the people that I know of, first of all. So yeah, that's how Reconnect came in. Kevin from Reconnect, incredible. The stuff that he's taught, the stuff that he does is amazing. The book he's brought out recently explains everything like on that highest level. And so straight away I was like, well, if I bring someone in like him, who's got a good community, 600 plus people already, that's great. Okay, we can now give two aspects, two elements to people, and we can bring something in that could be relatively low cost and high value. Okay, that's the very first one. That was very easy. The other one was, yeah, when you said they're Nomad Abs. Nomad Abs, insane community, amazing people again. They do all of their workouts 6 p.m. or later. Okay, it was something very hard for me to do. Okay, my day around 6 p.m. is very different, and I could be on sales calls, I could be doing work. There's so many different things happening in my day at 6 p.m. compared to 6 a.m. So for me, 6 a.m., the only distraction I have at 6 a.m., could be a rainstorm. That's the only thing that could stop me doing anything. Okay, that is it. Thunderstorm, that is it. I know that I can yes or yes get every workout in at 6 o'clock in the morning. I know I can't at 6 p.m. So I said to the guys that run it at O'Harry, and I said, look, I will change my workouts and my workout schedule originally around Nomad Abs. They're Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. I was like, great. Well, I'll do Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's how it started. Match with them. Okay. So now the community are going to have the choice of doing 5 workouts a week instead of, oh, it's the same day. So which one do I do instead? Well, let's give them everything they can do. Let's say they can do everything there. So they got the choice between the two instead of having choice between the two. Then on top of that, it came about with like, okay, where's this going to? And this is where we saw what you guys were doing and saw what a few other people were doing, where you mix the coffee side of things in. Okay, the coffee parties, you have all the different ways of being able to integrate what is in this town. We got over 1,000 bars and restaurants. Okay, so the restaurant side of things, there's a lot of coffee shops. You see now the coffee shops are turning into the wellness studios, and they're bringing in the smoothie bars, okay, the health bars. They're not called coffee shops anymore. They're health bars, even though they're exactly the same concept. It's because they want to have that new status. So it's very easy to bring those people in. And if you're bringing together the health bars, the extra free workouts, okay, it's still going to bring in something where people are like, oh, this is actually something I'd love to get involved in. Now there's a path of least resistance. You're there. It's in your face. Everything's there. We're advertising for each other. We get discounts, you get free coffees, you get all sorts of stuff if you get involved in different things. So why not come to that side of things rather than spending your night out until 2 in the morning in some nightclub somewhere, waking up at 10 in the morning, regretting everything you've done. So that was
Yeah.
the why the community came in. The government side of things, that's been the longest journey so far. That started from the stadium. The stadium's obviously run by the government. And out here, we know what obviously the Mexican government's like. There can be a lot of questions asked, a lot of things going on, and what we're doing and why we're doing it. Obviously, a very English guy running the show. They look at it in a different way to if a Mexican was running it. And we started growing fast, getting 50, 60, 70, even 80 people turning up at the stadium. At 6 o'clock in the morning, it's not too much of a problem. But when like Nomad Abs are doing it in the evenings, there's over 1,000 people that can turn up at the stadium at one time. A lot of people were getting angry that we're taking up the spaces and stuff like that. That was when I was like, okay, if we can get the government on our side to know that we're actually doing this as a benefit to people, we're not getting in the way, we're not causing any problems. And that was when I started talking to them. And I just wanted to show them what my vision was. Okay, my vision was to allow people to be able to come together through health and wellness, through workouts, through sweat, through all the cool things, not drunken drugs and everything like that people think that Playa del Carmen's famous for. It's not. It's about coming together through other things. And they allowed me to use the stadium. I got like a little kind of lease that was set up with them that they allowed us to use the stadium. We have access to the stadium. We're allowed to do our group sessions there. They allowed me to put my sign up in there as well to show people who we are and what we're about. And then from that, it's now started growing the eyes, and from the government side of things, we had the director of the stadium that mentioned us to somebody else, that then mentioned somebody else, and our Instagram page has been growing. So all it took was a couple of government people to notice that, then to start booking in chats with us. And the best thing about it is this week we did, they called it the Route to Wellness for Playa del Carmen, which is now a government-backed event that's going to be happening more often, which brings all the studios together, all of the different health and wellness bars in town, and also the groups that are doing the workouts. And that's when they invited me to do the functional fitness for it and be able to show what we're doing. And it was amazing. Our community is incredible because they all came out. Everybody came out, even at 9 o'clock in the morning when our workout was, which is crazy hot in the sunlight on a Sunday morning. Oh, we had well over 100 people that turned up for the workout from our community. And then there was like 50 odd people going to all the spinning sessions that were there. There was health markets. There was all these other things that were there. That was exactly what we've been trying to visualize and trying to put together for the last sort of year that we really wanted to do. And so it's great to see now the government are pushing that, and hopefully a bit of their budget can go into what we're trying to build instead of trying to do it for the nightlife side of things instead.
Yeah, congrats, man. That's really awesome, first and foremost. And I'm curious, as you build the vision with the government in some ways, what have been their thoughts on like what they want to see? And I think this is a really interesting angle because I think it's much less thought about because like even here in Colombia, like it's not even really on our radar to get the government involved. But PDC is a much smaller community, and I think there's also the urge and pressure of like tourism going down
Hmm.
and things that Playa wants to be known for. So how is that collaborative vision being built, and what do you see happening with the government going forward?
Yeah, I think the biggest push from the government though was when they saw us doing the events. They realized that we were filling up the biggest venues in Playa del Carmen, and we were selling out within 24, 48 hours, with all the tickets that we put on through the drop events, or even if I just do another event through PDC, which is like an anniversary event or something. They were seeing that we were filling up these places at the lowest point of the season when everyone's really struggling. So they know that it's not just, we don't just need to rely on tourism. We've got the people living here, we're just not selling to them. We're not
Mm,
providing a demand, and the government itself is not providing a demand for the people that live here. So they need to change it. The beach clubs are empty during the day. There's no one going to the beach clubs. There's no one going to the nightclubs are pretty empty because there's not many tourists coming in. So where would we be able to fill these spaces? And you're seeing there's a lot of buildings around here in Playa. There's a lot of commercial spaces that are empty. Okay, we've got a demand. So now they're coming to think of it. Okay, well, how do we fill those spaces? How do we fill those spots? How do we get people spending money in the times of the year when people can't, and when players earning its least? And you see, we're getting more and more people turning up each week at the moment than we've ever had in the high season. So imagine what it's going to be like when the high season does come in and what we can prepare for. And this is when they obviously wanted to come in and see what we can do with being able to push that tourism side of things. I had a meeting with the director of tourism, and she was like, "Yeah, this is exactly what we want to be part of." They didn't mention anything about money. They didn't mention anything about a cut. They didn't mention anything about all the things that we'd probably think they would mention. They were more interested in how are you getting so many people come into your events without needing to do the whole hard push sales side of things. And I said to him, it's the easiest thing ever. You provide people with a high value, low cost, and having a free workout you can turn up to 6 days a week. You can then, the demand's there, the trust is there. You create a community of trust, which then comes back and they ask you, what can I get involved in? What are you got next that I can get involved in? And I was advertising events, I was advertising different things, and people were buying tickets from me for these different events that I was putting on without even knowing what the event was. They're like, "Hey Rob, I got a ticket. What are you actually doing?" I was like, "You bought a ticket without knowing what we're doing?" Like, yeah.
mm.
I was like, wow. He's like, "Yeah, Rob, I know it's gonna be fun. I just don't know what it is." And I was just like, wow, this is going to grow. This is going to go big. And now it's about finding the biggest venues in town to fill, because we're selling out everywhere.
Yeah, I love that, man. And I think the pattern that I see within these communities that works really well is one, people that are doing it from the heart, that again, it's like I'm doing this because this is what I would be doing anyway. So there's not this friction of or resistance from the people leading it that again, like you said, it's yes or yes. It's like I'm doing this anyway. So I can provide this as a super high value. There's also this pattern of the people that focus on monetizing right away and making that the means to the end is like I need to make money from this. That is a huge mistake that I've seen, and this kind of goes to the difference between corporate and industrial industry mindset, like the commercialized mindset of companies that just focus on the financials versus community, which focuses on the people and the value. And this is where I really think this intersection is going to get interesting in the next few years because we're going to see how brands want to get involved. Like not only brands, but governments, right? Want to get involved with people that have already built the trust because that's the big missing link. Like you can throw up a wellness center and have the nicest sauna in the world, have the nicest jacuzzi and cold plunge and all these things. But if you don't have a community and you're just relying on the facilities to do what it's like, people don't care. And I think that's a big
Ex-
mistake that I see in this industry, is that there's not this sense of like, oh, let's build something that's actually meaningful to people first. And then we don't even have to sell. I mean, it's kind of like for us, like last week we had our eighth Sweat and Chill event, and the tickets sold out in 4 minutes. 80 tickets. And it was a smaller event than what we usually do because the venue
4
that we're
minutes.
working with has a bit smaller capacity. But dude, 4 minutes. I was refreshing the page and I was amazed to see, because once you build that demand and that trust, once you build the trust, the demand comes secondary. And then all of a sudden the demand can't, there's more demand than supply. And then that's when you have these interesting questions of like, oh, well, venues and operations and marketing, like, I'm curious, like, what are some of the biggest challenges you've faced, both from the operational side, the marketing side, and how have you overcome those, or how do you anticipate overcoming those, especially in a seasonal market like Playa?
Yeah, what you just said there is 100% exactly the journey that you just said there. You create something that people want to actually pay for without paying for it, and that's the workout side of things for us. You, I learned this many years ago from getting into sales. Okay, people like Alex Hormozy says it all the time. Like, how do you get a lot of people following you on Instagram? Okay, how do you get a lot of people following you on social media? You provide a high value for people to come and visit, that they find it valuable, but it's free. So straight away I was like, well, yeah, the workouts need to do that. There was a few people that actually started PTing and doing sort of functional fitness training in person at the stadium the exact same time that we started PDC. And it was a very good friends of mine as well. And I was watching what they were doing and I was seeing what I was doing. And they first of all started by saying to people, we'll charge 80 pesos, which are like $4 a session. Yeah, which is nothing in our world. Yeah. Because they created that, first of all, that huge barrier, which was money. They are asking people for money straight away. It created people not to come, even though they're definitely a better qualified PT than me. They're better. They've probably got better facilities. They're probably better structured than I was then. But because they had that tiny, tiny area where they wanted to make money from day one, they're still getting people coming to them, but they're getting less than 10 people turn up at their session. And the reason for that is because they started charging at the very start. Okay, you got to gain trust. You can't ask for money without trust. And for that to happen, you need to be able to give something for free. And that's your call to action. That's getting people in. So for what you're saying there, was the biggest problems I've had is when it comes down to the time that there is money involved. Okay, there is something involved where you've got to include a venue. Okay, I can't just have venues for free. Venues will not give me their place for free, even though they're going to get thousands and thousands of people seeing them, seeing their location, everything about them. I've tried it everywhere around Play. I was like, you can sponsor us by giving us the venue. They're like, no, we need to make money. We want to make money. And that has been the issue from every single time we put on a live event. They see how high the demand is. They can see how great, it's blowing their mind because they haven't created that themselves. They
Mm,
haven't been able to create their own community. All they've done is they put someone on the door asking for money, and they wonder why there's only a few people turning up. And then I turn up and say, okay, I want the whole venue. I'm going to fill it up. And then they see that. I said, they see it on Instagram, they see it on everywhere else that we're selling out, and they're like, oh, by the way, I want more money now. I want you to give us more. I want you to give this to us. And then they're like, oh, you can't have this. Restriction at this. And that's been my biggest problem, is the restrictions of what they're giving to us, and the cost side of things from them, because they want to make more money right there and then instead of in the long term, where where if we had a great venue in Playa that wanted to be able to commit themselves in the long term to us, people would see that as the home, the new HQ, or the place to go and the place to hang out, even when there's not a venue or one of our events happening. So to have the right connection between the community and the venue, you need to look at it in the long term. You need to look at that as a long-term investment, that you're not going to make money on day one. You're looking at making money in day 100, because that's the thing you need to get. You need to gain the eyes, you need to gain the trust, and for the people to be able to go there and see value in going there without realizing it's just them looking for money. And that's been my biggest issue I've had with anything.
mm,
Everything else, I think the timings wise, with the workouts, the events that we put, people very rarely moan about like, oh, you put on a yoga session when we wanted to do a dance session. It's none of that. It's always come between like, oh, you're just bringing people together. The bringing
Yeah.
people together part has been fantastic, and allowing people to do different things. Okay, when we first started out, one of the events you came to, I think we had back to back to back to back. I can't. Or was it? Did you come to the second one or the first one that we did?
The drop.
Yeah, the drop event.
I think it was the second.
The second one. Okay, so that was, we learned from the very first one. The first one we put on event. We put 5 different activities on, but it was like going to like summer camp for kids. Okay, you're gonna finish this, and you're gonna go straight into this, and you're gonna do this, and you goes. No one got to interact. No one got to do much because they got stuck in that situation with like activity, 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 where they were just there with the instructor. So it was like the functional, followed by yoga, followed by dance, followed by breath work, followed by ice bath, and it was like, okay, now we do a raffle and you leave. And it was like, okay, so the next one we did, we were like, okay, let's have gaps in between. Let's do less activities and get just people talking, get people dancing, get people having fun. And then that's what obviously grew the side of things. That's what you saw. Okay, there was a lot more downtime for people to interact and to connect. And that's been a big lesson learned from the very first one. Then from that, it's been the biggest thing to learn is what people love to do. And the ice bath side of things is huge. People love to do that. They love to come along and have that no pressured approach into doing an ice bath. You know, when you normally you go to an ice bath venue and it's quite serious and there's all the breath work first and people get a bit intimidated by that. Well, this isn't. This is a party. Just jump in, just have some fun. If you want to go in for 1 minute, go in for 1 minute. If you want to go in for 5 minutes, go in for 5 minutes. It was that no pressured approach into doing things that people normally find uncomfortable. And then they get comfortable doing it. And then they're like, oh my God, if I didn't go to that event, I would have never done an ice bath. And now they come to all of our ice bath events and they come to everything to do with ice baths because that's their new thing. And they would never have done it if they didn't do it in that no pressure approach. So that's a cool thing to take from it.
Yeah, I think that when you create the spaces for people, with the activities, but not over, like there's structure, but there's kind of like a choose your own adventure type of deal, which I think is what we've really focused on with the Sweat and Chill, is like giving people a lot of optionality, but not kind of forcing them into any experience. Yeah, people with the social pressure, with kind of the people around them, like they'll get a little adventurous and they'll try something they may haven't tried before, or if you give them enough space to connect and like hang by the pool or hang by whatever it is that you have as the attractions, like that's when the real connections happen. And then they just remember how they felt at that experience, at that event. And they're like, I want to go back. I have to be back at that event every time that it's there. That's been an interesting part for us. And that's also been the attraction for sponsors and vendors and outside companies to become involved. And I think one of the things that I want to accomplish with this podcast in general is giving education to companies that want to get involved with these types of communities. And on this podcast, my aim will be to have people that are building wellness centers. It'll be brands, like whether they be consumable brands that are in the wellness space, wearables, tech, but also community builders like this, because I think there's a place where we all overlap in this Venn diagram. And if the brands can understand that the next wave of sales and them selling their brand is actually through storytelling, through community, and like being a part of these communities, not just being an outside brand that some people associate with, some people don't, like actually attaching themselves to some of these communities long term is going to be one of the biggest and best strategies that they can have. And I'm curious how you've approached that, because you said obviously with the venues there's been some difficulty in getting them to see the long-term vision, but how do you approach brands in this way, and what do you think's really in it for them if they're looking at sponsoring your communities, and how are you framing that these days?
Yeah, with the brands, it's more about how can they connect with what we're doing. There's a lot of brands that do come to us who want to kind of jump on the whole like getting. There's not. I don't think there's anything out there as big as PDC Fitness Club that's got as many eyes in one place. And so they're like, oh Rob, I want to make money through your company, through your community, and I want to be able to come in. What can I do? And if it doesn't align with what we're doing, it's not going to be something that we'll go with. And I always look at, okay, what they're doing, what's their purpose, and what they want to get out of it. So let's say there is a brand that are coming in that are very much aligned with what we're doing, okay, and I'll bring them. We'll sit down and talk about structure, but the main thing for me is to show them what the long-term gain is. It's not about the short-term gain. It's not about how much money can I make out of that one event, because that's what they keep doing. They keep coming to us and they're like, okay, how much can I sell at this one? I said, no, you're going to be giving away a lot. It's probably going to cost you. You're going to be, there's samples. You want to be able to give out, obviously, so much stuff for free that people will come back and ask you, can they buy it? And you need to do that. You need to have that prepared. And I said, obviously, yeah, there is a cost of bringing it into what we're doing, okay, and how I'm going to do it for you, and how I'll be able to then put the eyes into your direction as well. And we can collaborate on the post, we can collaborate on the social media side of things. But on top of that, I'm stood in front of 80 people 6 days a week talking about whatever I want to talk about. I have a live audience every single week. So let's say we get between 5 and 7 new people every session. So there's 5 or 7 new people, 5-6 days a week looking at me. I can sell them what I want. I can tell them anything I want, get involved in this, come do this. I can pitch whatever I need to pitch. So if they come into us and they want to have a great connection with us, they've got the opportunity to be part of this community, to be allowed to be seen in that much higher level of value rather than just a quick story on Instagram or something like that. And that's the things I want to build with these brands, is that we've got a live audience who trust us, who want to get involved. If it's something I believe in and something that I see value in, then I will help them gain clients and be able to use and put their service to our community. That's a
Yeah,
big
and I
thing.
think that's part of our responsibility as we build these communities, is to be able to articulate that, because we often have to change the mindset and change the behavior of companies that are not thinking in the future, right? And I find that there's a particular difficulty also in Latin America a bit, because I think there's some ways of thinking about things. Like, we work with a lot of venues as well, and we've switched probably 8 venues with the Run Club just because the capacity, it's like 200 people. It's very hard for a lot of venues to serve 200 people on a Sunday. And especially because the consumption numbers are not massive, and then people are buying a coffee, one coffee or a water or whatever. But it's kind of a chicken and egg, because if they don't have enough people to service all those people, then those people will go somewhere else. They're like, I don't want to wait in line, those types of things. So it's like they want to be able to staff, but it takes them extra effort, extra money. It's kind of a constraint that they have to serve that people. And then we're like, oh, we're not able to serve our community by bringing them to a place that can't serve them. So it's this
Exactly.
very interesting dynamic. But if you look at it from a long-term time horizon, if you have 200 people coming into your restaurant every week on Sunday, our new numbers are like, we probably have between 30 and 50 new people a week. That's their first time every week. It's like, just imagine if you get even half of those people to come to the end location. It's like you got 25 new people coming to your restaurant every week that have never seen it before. And so if you can generate a good impression there, and one of the things we've been focusing on more as we've brought vendors and sponsors into our events, is like having a follow-on offer. It's like, yeah, the event's great, but like, what happens after the event that encourages this person to seek out your brand beyond that? Is there, so a lot of the ones that we have, they have a free, let's say it's a wellness center. We had a wellness center that offered a buy one get one free massage and a free cold hot immersion. So if someone comes to the event and they use this code and they use the QR, they can get, lock in their free session, and that gets the foot traffic into the place that can lead to a subscription. So there's all these different ways. And if you look at the cost of acquisition for a new client for a lot of these wellness centers or a lot of these other brands, like, they should be happy to pay at cost a sample to potentially get a new client, right? Or maybe one of their services. And so if you look at a lot of other traditional client acquisition techniques, if they're running ads, like, it's actually likely cheaper to do it at an event where there's a really highly engaged audience that's super aligned. So I'm interested to see, from you, like, how do you get new, is everything inbound right now? Or are you doing outbound for sponsors and new brands to participate with you guys, or how are you looking at that in the future?
No, outbound wise is just been, I've done one outbound. That's it. That's all I've done so far. Actually, was to do with the Run Club, because because of the location of where we wanted to run and where we were, when you came running with us, did we start on CTM or did we start at K Weathers?
CTM.
CTM. Okay, so that was the old location. So this was where I was looking at like how can we grow? I don't look at a 2x growth. I look at a 10x growth, because if a 2x growth, and in this industry happens, like
Yeah.
you click your finger and it's 2x growth already. So you can't even look at doing the 2x growth. You've got to look at a 10x growth. So for me, I was like straight away sat down. I was like, okay, what will happen if we 10x the number of people here? And it's like, we can't be on CTM. We can't be on that little roundabout where all the cars are going up and down. We can't be in that
Yeah.
little building site area. It's not going to work. So straight away, I was like, I need a venue to go from. So I took a little walk up and down that little area there, and straight away I came across a coffee shop called K Weathers. Everyone knows about it.
It's
For
great.
me, I
That's
go there for
awesome.
my breakfast. It's a great place, and I went straight into the staff and I said, "Hey, who's the guy that runs the place?" Like, and I was like, I kind of went about it the wrong way, just going straight in there and like introducing myself, like, "Hey, I want to talk to the owner." None of them would let me talk to the owner, and I was just like, "Oh, it's just a nightmare." I wanted to. I was like, this will be the location that we can do our events from. And I sent messages on Instagram. I sent messages out. I was doing some outbound to this one thing. This was the location I wanted,
Yeah.
and it was just getting more annoyed, more annoyed. And I was like, well, if they're not going to talk to me, I'll just bring the run club to them. I was like, sod it, I'll just do it. I'll say like, so I sent a message out. I think it was at the new, wherever month it was. I said, new day of the month, new location, guys. We're meeting at 48 and 5th. We're going to be outside K Weathers. I'm going to tag them in everything we do. I'm just going to just get people outside their place. And obviously, if people are outside a coffee shop, there's a good coffee shop known, there's people going to spend some money. And lo and behold, the owner gives me a text after that, and he says, "Hey man, I can see you guys are hanging out outside our place. Is there anything you need my help with?" And now we've got a trusted basically trusted sponsor, because they're the one that does actually give us a venue for free. He's like, what's your investment? I said, look, we're going to do ice baths. I want to be able to have a nice space. He said, oh, I've got the space opposite as well. We don't open that till the afternoon, so you guys can do whatever you like in there in the morning. I'm
Nice.
like, fantastic. And now we've got 70 or 80 odd people turning up at the run club like we did this morning. I've got the local, because all that area is got like little spas in that area. We got the girls who do the massages that are coming out to us now saying, "Hey, I'll do free massages during your event if you'll let me just advertise." I'm like, "Of course, that's exactly what this is about." And now that's grown organically just
Nice.
from bringing the group to the location that we wanted to be at, instead of trying to push it in and trying to talk to the right people, because you got to show a value before you can actually ask people what you want. And unfortunately, in this day and age, you have to really prove yourself before you get to get negotiations in place.
It's
For
unfortunate, but I think it's also your advantage, right? Because it's like you can actually do it when there's so many people who can't. And that's what
Mhm.
I think is like really the separating factor here is it's a moat. It's a moat around what you're doing, because other people can try to do this and try to knock it off and try to, do whatever it is that they can to copy what you're doing. But at the end of the day, like the numbers matter. And if you're bringing 100 people to somewhere where they can't even get 10 people there on a normal day,
Exactly.
and you're getting them there within an hour, it's like it really speaks to the things you're doing, and it's really awesome to see. We got just a couple minutes left, so I wanted to run two kind of like lightning bolt things by you. So just quick answers on these. The first one is, what's a major bold prediction you have for the wellness industry going forward? Could be in the next year, next 5 years, next 10 years. What do you see happening in this space?
It's going to erupt. This is the new like AI situation again. Everyone's jumping on board. Everyone's getting involved with this. Everyone wants to change their industry to being community based, and now the whole wellness space is the next big generation. That is the next thing that everyone can see. Obviously, with the new generation coming through, that is what people want. Okay, we're gonna fill. The thing is, what we're gonna fill in the future, we're gonna fill nightclubs with health bars. We're not gonna fill nightclubs with drunk people anymore. This is gonna be
Love
the
it.
big change in our world.
Yeah, and I think it's almost the counterculture to AI too, because it's like what happens when the pendulum swings so far in the AI direction is that people always swing back to human connection, and this is like really the root of like where human connection is going, and people are kind of rebelling against alcohol and things like that. It's actually my 7 years without alcohol today. So it
Wow,
was,
congrats,
yeah,
man.
yeah. So
Incredible.
it's awesome to be on here with you speaking about this stuff. The last thing
That's
I'd
exciting.
ask is what's what's Rob's legacy in the wellness industry, and what's the movement that you want to be known for creating in this space?
Connection in the right way. Okay, it's not like where people have to meet new people by being drunk. Okay, I'm always in reality a military guy. I spent 12 years of my life at bachelor parties. That is the way you got to look at it. Everywhere I went, everything was orchestrated around alcohol. Everything was orchestrated around how hungover you were the next day, depending on what you're doing. That is the opposite right now. So now it's about bringing people together in a much better mindset, in a much better way, without making those stupid mistakes that you make when you've under the influence of something. This is where we can now bring this whole new era to our lives, which is going to make everything so much better. What I'm doing this year for myself personally is going to increase my life expectancy by minimum 5 years. Okay, of what I've been doing and my health journey personally. So if I can do it for myself and just do this, and we create a community by doing it, I know that our generations to come are going to be so much better off in the future by just having this as a norm rather than going out drinking as a norm. And that's the big thing I want to bring from that, and have people coming together through the demand of something they all want to do rather than get pushed to do, which is peer pressure always causes everyone to go out drinking. It's always like, I'll come out for one and end up being wrecked. Where
Yeah.
people come out, okay, they're not going to come out and go one burpee and then just do
Yeah, they come
100.
out
They're
for
going
one
to come in.
burpee and then do
That's it.
250.
That is it. Exactly. That's it. Less Tinder, more burpees. That's what we're saying at the minute as well. You don't need to meet people through apps. You can meet people in person, and by meeting them in person, doing the things you both enjoy, and that's stuff like this.
Love it, man. Love your mission. Love your vision on all this stuff. So grateful to be in your friendship circle and watching what you're building, and also you're doing it in a place that I hold very dear to my heart, which is Playa del Carmen. Looking forward to going back there at some point in the next hopefully 6 to 8 months, seeing all the progression. I'm sure by the time that I'm there, there's like full government programs for wellness that you're leading, maybe even a wellness center that you've taken over. And man,
Yeah,
just
the big
super
vision.
super blessed to be able to witness what you're doing. So I appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you too. Like I've been learning a lot from what you guys are doing on the mass scale as well. It's definitely a great thing, and coming together like this as well, sharing ideas is what this is about. Okay, it's a great thing to know we're in different countries and there's no competition in this side of things as well, which is great, and we're learning from each other. I'm definitely progressing because of on what I'm learning from you guys doing on a lot larger scale, which is what I love.
Love it, dude. Let's grow together, brother. Make the
That's
world more
it, man.
healthy.
Thank you so much. Cheers, brother.